Hey folks, we have a proclamation to issue first, so you'll be second up on the agenda. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 17th Board of Trustees agenda meeting. It is now 6:05, calling this meeting to order. Clerk Perillo, can you please confirm the presence of a quorum?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Shepro?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Ugrinsky?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Franco?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Hill?
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Giuliano?
Here.
Thank you. With that, Mayor, we establish a quorum, and we have Attorney Moran and Treasurer Gafka, as always, joining us.
All right, thank you. Okay, can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Clerk Perillo, there are some announcements on the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Our first announcement is to say that the village offices will be closed on the 25th of December and the 1st of January in observance of both Christmas and New Year's Day respectively. And our village offices will be closing at 12:15 on the 24th of December and the 31st of December as well. We have our Ice Festival, which will be taking place from the 31st of January to the 1st of February, with a rain date of the 14th through the 15th of February. And of course, we have our Festival of Trees at the Village Center.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have several presentations tonight. We're very excited to see the folks in the audience. Our first presentation is a proclamation, a very special one at that. We have a virtually lifelong village resident who is, and her family is, they lived in Port Jefferson all their lives, and she is experiencing celebrating her 100th birthday tomorrow. So a very rare occasion. So I'd like to invite the Schulmans up to the dais to come on up and accept this proclamation. That, I guess I'll stand up and read it around. Testing. Does this one work, Mike? Mike, Chris? Testing, testing, testing. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Whereas the Village of Port Jefferson proudly recognizes individuals whose lives have enriched our community through dedication, service, and exemplary citizenship. And whereas Lillian Schulman, born in Newark, New Jersey, became a cherished and long-standing member of our village, residing in Port Jefferson from 1948 to 2023, a remarkable span of 75 years. And whereas during her years on Long Island, Lillian contributed to the education of countless students as a devoted French and Spanish teacher in the public school system, fostering curiosity, understanding, and cultural appreciation. And whereas Lillian has been the longest continuously active member of the North Shore Jewish Center in Setauket and Port Jefferson Station, reflecting a lifetime of spiritual connection, community involvement, and steadfast commitment. And whereas Lillian's life has been defined by extraordinary love and devotion to her family, including her late husband, Jerry, with whom she shared 58 years of marriage, her role as a beloved sister, mother of 3, one of whom I graduated high school with, mother-in-law, grandmother of 5, and great-grandmother of 10, with an 11th soon to arrive. And by the way, my sister dated your brother. Rich, yes. And whereas Lillian is admired by all who know her, family, friends, neighbors, and former students, for her warmth, generosity, intelligence, and the enduring grace with which she has touched so many lives. And whereas on December 18th, 2025, Lillian celebrates her 100th birthday, a milestone that speaks to a century of resilience, achievement, compassion, and the deep roots she planted within the village of Port Jefferson. And now, therefore, I, Lauren Chaparro, mayor of this village of Port Jefferson, on behalf of the Village Board of Trustees and the entire Port Jefferson community, do hereby extend our heartfelt congratulations and honor Lillian Schulman on her 100th birthday, expressing our profound gratitude for the immeasurable ways she has enriched our village. And issue this proclamation to commemorate a life of exceptional meaning and to celebrate the legacy of a woman whose presence has been a blessing to generations. We'll take a picture. Trustees, all are welcome.
Come on, Apple. God, I keep bringing issues here. Thank you very much. Mom still enjoys seeing the harbor on Earth Cam. She does. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
I hope you all have a great celebration on the 21st.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you all very much.
If you want to stick around, we're having some holiday tunes. So Trustee Franco was at a recent Board of Education meeting and saw something that really impressed him. And he came back to our clerk and to the Village Hall and asked if we would entertain a performance by the
Monarchs. They were amazing. They were wonderful. I was so impressed by them. And I spoke to Sylvia and the mayor, and they graciously said, you guys can come down here and give us some holiday spirit to get this board meeting going. So, thank you.
So come on up. Who do we have with us today?
So I'm Nick Patilio. I'm the director of the Port Jefferson Monarchs. This is our high school a cappella group. We specialize in contemporary a cappella music. And we have our members here tonight, and we have a couple of carols, and then we're going to finish with an arrangement by the Pentatonics of White Winter Hymn.
Thank you.
Your first note.
Joy Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you wherever you are, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Okay, and our final piece, White Winter Hymnal.
Well, if you can stick around for 1 second, speaking for myself, that was, in Matt Franco's words, amazing. No, that was really fantastic. How long have you guys been singing together?
We meet once a week for rehearsals since September, early October.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what do you shift after? Now it's not going to be Christmas anymore or holidays. Do you shift into a
Right.
different?
So we studied a couple pieces of repertoire for our winter concert, and then we're going to shift into, we're actually going to an a cappella festival in March, so we're going to compete, and it's a friendly competition, but it'll give us a chance to
That you don't want to win?
throw a cappella. That'd be nice, but getting a chance to hear other a cappella groups from around Suffolk County.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Excellent. So where's that?
That'll be at Center Reach High School.
Okay, good luck with you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Really, really amazing. Thank you for coming. Mr. Caravello, thank you too. I know you're at the helm of all this, so you do great work. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, this meeting is now, are we adjourned? No. Because that was my favorite. Okay.
Be the best meeting ever.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt, again, for bringing them in and bringing it to our attention. It was really
They were
worthwhile.
really good, and it's a nice way to start the holidays off
Sure.
at the board.
Yep.
Thank you for allowing it. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have another proclamation to issue, and now I'd like to call up Alan Varela, members of our Arts Council, members of our Chamber of Commerce, or actually our Director of Operations for our Chamber of Commerce, and the President of our BID to receive this next proclamation. We actually have two.
What's coming in.
The first I'd like to issue to the Arts Council for the extraordinary success of the 2025 Dickens Festival, the 29th anniversary of the Dickens Festival. And I don't know if we can ever express enough gratitude for all the work that you do for Dickens. No one really sees how much work goes into putting this together. They see the outcome of it and the experience that they have on the streets of Port Jefferson over that quick, magical weekend. So let me just start with Alan Varela. Alan, you have other people from the Arts Council here you'd like us to recognize?
This is Kelly Devon.
Mm-hmm.
She's in charge of our Port Jefferson. I'm sorry. She's in charge of our Port Jefferson documentary series and the new Indie Lens pop-up series and the new Film at Lim series, and we have Juliet Passer, who is helping us get our marketing thing and getting our volunteers from Stony Brook, and there we are.
Okay. So whereas the Village of Port Jefferson is enriched by the collective and collaborative efforts of its, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. No. That's right. So today we're going to start with the collective organizations, okay? So whereas the Village of Port Jefferson is enriched by the collective and collaborative efforts of its arts, business, and civic organizations, whose shared commitment to creativity, commerce, volunteerism, and community engagement strengthens the village's vitality and quality of life and community spirit. And whereas through successful, long-standing partnerships, these organizations have developed and sustained a series of beloved seasonal events that create the arts, support local businesses, that celebrate the arts, support local businesses, encourage tourism, and bring residents and visitors together. And whereas these holiday festivities include the annual Charles Dickens Festival, the Festival of Trees, and the Santa Parade, Small Business Saturday, the Lantern House Tour, and the first annual Candy Cane Lane lighting event, which introduced a new and unique tradition for the village. Whereas a group of retailers and restaurants throughout the village created a newly organized, spirited approach to elevate Port Jefferson called the Holiday Planning Committee. Whereas these events collectively offer a diverse range of cultural, artistic, and family-centered programming, including parades, tree lightings, live music, theatrical productions, visual art, interactive attractions, and festive displays throughout the village. And whereas the success of these celebrations reflects the dedication and cooperation of the Port Jefferson Arts Council, the Greater Port Jefferson Chamber of Commerce, the Port Jefferson Village Business Improvement District, the Port Jefferson Retailers Association, and the Holiday Planning Committee working together alongside artists, performers, volunteers, local businesses, and community partners. And whereas these collaborative efforts honor the spirits of creativity, compassion, economic vitality, and civic pride, while strengthening community connections and supporting a welcoming and vibrant village for residents and visitors of all ages. Now therefore be it resolved that on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the residents of the Village of Port Jefferson, I, Lauren Shepro, Mayor of the Village of Port Jefferson, on this 17th day of December 2025, do hereby recognize and commend the Port Jefferson Arts Council, the Greater Port Jefferson Chamber of Commerce, the Port Jefferson Village Business Improvement District, Chandler Square, the Holiday Planning Committee, and the Port Jefferson Retailers Association, among many others, for their shared leadership, dedication, and collaborative efforts in presenting the annual Charles Dickens Festival, Festival of Trees, Santa Parade, Tree Lighting Ceremony, Small Business Saturday, the Lantern House Tour, and the first annual Candy Cane Lane Lighting Ceremony. And be it further proclaimed that the Village of Port Jefferson proudly celebrates these organizations for their continued partnership and commitment to the arts, local businesses, volunteerism, and community spirit, and extends sincere appreciation to the artists, performers, volunteers, organizers, sponsors, and supporters whose collective efforts have made these events meaningful, successful, and enduring traditions. Thank you all so much. I think that's all I have.
Can I ask the board members, please, for a photo op? Thank you. Come on over here, guys. Where are we going? Center, we can introduce around. Come on in here. I'm good. I'm good. There we are.
Do we turn this way? Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
there we go. So there we go. Tighten it up like a crescent moon. Ah, yes. Okay. Looking good now. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
The village is
Congratulations.
doing better than ever, guys.
I'm, first of all, having had to stand in for the mayor, I saw
They make fun of me, but
back.
they always say amazing.
scenes and everything, and I can't.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
No, that's what's a nice little holiday spirit. Yeah, and they're great kids too.
I know that, I absolutely know that.
But the great thing is that
We start a tradition.
that's what, you know.
Thank you so
It
much.
was magic.
Yeah, but it all comes together and looks seamless to the folks who visit.
Nice working with you.
I'm sure we can find a spot.
We're ready to start planning the 30th, Alan. Next year is the 30th, so that's going to be big for Dickens, is it not?
Thank you, brother.
Okay, next up, we have a presentation with our BID president, James Luciano, who will be presenting the annual budget for the Business Improvement District. Is that microphone working, James? You want to use this one?
This year's budget is very similar to last year's. We did make some adjustments, gearing a little heavier towards the social media management side of things. We hired a new firm, Freshly Cut Film, to really enhance our photography. They were out at our most recent Dickens Festival. There was an album that got shared with the village this morning, so that those photos are now owned by the bid and can be used throughout the village facilities. You know, we always put into our budget portion of the sidewalk snow removal program, which we allocated $20,000 for this year. That's a percentage of the business sidewalk clearings in the district. We do a 60-40 split with the village, up to a maximum of $20,000 for that. We also put a big category together for our annual ice festival, harvest festival, and tree lighting ceremonies, so we're a big support financially in those aspects. On the marketing side of things, we partnered with the village and the chamber this year for software called Placer AI. We've discussed that at various meetings before, but for those of you that don't know, that's going to be our foot trafficking software, which will help us with parking data, festival data, where we should advertise, whether or not the traffic is flowing the way we want it to, that sort of thing. And then we have our regular admin expenses like everybody else. We have liability insurance for the directors, accounting fees. We have an administrative assistant that sends out all our emails and takes our minutes every month. We also own the tree that is lit every year. We have a maintenance program with that facility, $9,125 every year. And then we try and save some money every year through food crawls and other kinds of income sponsorship for various projects with the village. Right now, we just purchased for next season some Christmas decor, another $12,000 worth. We bought some 6-foot snowflakes and 6 50-foot streetscapes that you'll see next year. Does the board have any questions on the bid budget, what we've spent, what we have money allocated towards?
Yeah, one, thank you for everything you do for the bid and you know, making the community fun. I live close to downtown, so I get to experience a lot of the events, whether I like it or not. And I do like it. But I was just curious if there's a budget line for digital advertising, because that's kind of where all advertising is moving, where it's, you know, ads on Facebook and Instagram and those kind of platforms.
Right, so if you look at the second line, social boosting and marketing, we have $2,000 allocated on that specific line for that purpose, to boost ads and stuff like that. We do have a pretty substantial savings account that once we analyze the Placer AI data and we decide where we want to market digitally, we'll be able to move funds towards that project.
Great.
As far as increasing that on a yearly basis, we just kind of work with what we have, distribute it out, and then we take from savings to do other programs.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, James, first of all, thank you for letting me attend the last bid meeting. I was just wondering, we have gone into budget season now for the village, so wanted to make sure that we follow through on the budget meeting that Stephen and I would like to, the treasurer and I would like to have with the bid at some point in January. So just want to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to make an observation that I have not seen so much interest in the Business Improvement District board spots and participation in meetings in the 2.5 years that I've been here as mayor. And it's really gratifying to see the commercial district get involved in what's going on in the village. So I leave that, I take that as, you know, your leadership efforts of the chamber, and just the level of interest that our our merchants are displaying in the success of the village is obvious and welcome, and it's infectious, and it's great to see.
Yeah, this is the first year that we've actually had a full board, and we are operating to capacity. We had a lot of competition for the director spots, which is good because it shows people want to be involved. They want to see change. We've seen a lot of new faces over the last few months. I mean, it's really helpful, and people are reaching out for help with the ice festival and the holiday lighting, and to have the community participation is really helpful to get all the objectives done that we're trying to complete.
Yeah, so keep up that good work. Doing a great job.
Does anybody else have any other questions about projects? We have upcoming?
No, just one observation to pile on to what the mayor was saying. It was really impressive to see how collaborative all of the groups are that are participating in either the events, the event planning, taking various operational pieces and running with it. So I'm super impressed.
Thank you.
And it'll be very, very interesting to see what the Placer app brings to the table.
We've already started exploring, and it's one of those things where you can spend hours every night in little squares. And it's going to be helpful, especially Trustee Franco had asked about parking data. And, we've now geo-fenced all of the parking lots, so we'll be able to see when the busiest times are and when we should be charging, when we should not be charging. It's going to be interesting to see all that come together because that data is readily available. So we
That'll
now have it.
help you geofence and do your social media boosting and that kind of thing to a real targeted audience. So excellent work.
Thank you.
Can I just add that the first report for the Charles Dickens has come out?
If you want to, you can come up to the.
Yeah, all right. So the first report was done for the Dickens Festival, and we had 26,000 people that came. And that was all data that we got from the Placer AI.
Mm-hmm.
And very happy that Parker, who you dedicated him to help us out geofencing and putting in POIs and so forth, he was very, very good, and he seems to be focused.
Our very own Parker Moore.
Yes, our very
The
own
planning
Parker
aid.
Moore, very
Yeah.
Dan, too, has always been helpful. So
Uh-huh,
thank you,
okay.
Mayor and the board,
Uh-huh.
for giving this, because we'll get more information and more accurate information with more POIs that have to go into the software program, but it takes a lot of time to put all this data in there. He's not kidding when he says it takes hours.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
a lot.
can go down a rabbit hole very quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get mesmerized, but thank you.
All right, thank you, Barbara. All right, thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
All right, that concludes our presentation portion of the meeting. Now we'd like to go quickly into correspondence.
Yes, we have one, Mayor, at this time. It is dated December 15th. It's an email that reads, "I am writing to compliment the Port Jefferson DPW on their snow removal Sunday. I live on Peninsula Drive and am very impressed with the work the plows and sanders did in the recent storm. The plow driver made particular efforts to not block the mouth of my driveway and even push snow away from the road in front of my mailbox. Given the severity of the storm and the piles of leaves on the road, the crew did a fantastic job. Thank you very much for keeping our streets navigable and safe. Best regards, George J. Baldo."
Nice. That's not the only compliment we got from about DPW this last weekend, so. Storms always happen on a weekend. They always get called in. It's crazy. But they respond, and they respond in force, and they're very good, so we appreciate them. Just got another letter today in the mail from the Office of County Legislator Steve Engelbright. And this is I'll just read this quick. "I'm pleased to inform you that I have been able to secure $5,000 in the Suffolk County 2026 operating budget to support the Village of Port Jefferson's participation in Culper Spy Day. This is a beloved tradition for many local residents, and I greatly appreciate your commitment towards its continuation. It is satisfying to know that the important work that carried out by the village will benefit from this funding. The funding will be administered through the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation. We will expect the requisite forms around mid-December, and thank you for your service to Port Jefferson and the residents of Suffolk County. Wishing you and everyone at Village Hall a very happy holiday season, Steve Engelbright. So I just want to add to that, this is a very important year for the Culper Spy Day because of the 250th anniversary of independence. So this Culper Spy Day will be a special celebration and recognition of that anniversary. It'll be built into our planning efforts, which soon will be revealed. So this money will help that. And does that conclude our correspondence for today?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, finally, without further ado, our public safety and welfare update. Sorry to make you wait tonight.
That was quite a performance. So nice to watch. Good evening, Rob DeKenna. I'm with the 6th Precinct Community Relations. I'm just going to go over some of the statistics, or some of the data rather, for 911 calls for service. Thank you. The past month. So the time period being November 19th through today is what we're looking at. And we're going to be comparing it to the same time period exactly 1 year ago. So overall, total calls for service, it looks like there were 287 in Port Jeff Village between November 19th and today, compared to 331 last year. So that's a decrease of about 13%. Of those 287, 17 were criminal incidents. So they were categorized as criminal incidents. I'm going to go through the different categories with you. That's also showing a decrease, too, by the way, compared to last year. There were 27, so about a 37% decrease compared to last year overall with the total criminal incidents. There was one reported aggravated harassment, which was cleared by arrest. Perpetrator was arrested. No assaults to report. That's down from 2 last year. No burglaries to report. There was one criminal mischief, so damage to property. Looks like that's actively being investigated, down from 2 last year. 4 cases of harassment, 2 which are being actively investigated, 2 no charges were brought. That's just unwanted physical contact harassment. It could be like a push, a kick, a shove, anything like that. People getting into fight, road rage type thing. 3 larcenies were reported. They're all actively being investigated, and that's down from 5 last year. 0 menacings, 0 robberies. Non-criminal incidents, there were 270 compared to 304 last year. So that's showing a decrease of a little over 11%. A lot of those are ambulance, we call them aided cases. We respond to calls for service with the fire department for medical emergencies, things of that nature. That would be categorized as an aided case. 74 of those were aided cases, down from 89 last year. And the only other category that kind of jumps out at me is disturbances. I know there's issues, especially in the warmer months, kind of people, with the influx of people hanging out, bars, things like that. There's disturbances, loud music, things of that nature. That would constitute a disturbance. So we get a lot of those calls, but it looks like we're down roughly 28.3% compared to last year. So there were 38 total for the past month compared to 53 last year. That's what we want to see. That's the downward trend there. People hanging out with the cars, loud vehicles, loud music, stuff like that would definitely be a disturbance. Motor vehicle accidents, there were 25, up slightly from 17 last year. None of those were fatal or serious physical injury involved. And looks like there were 6 arrests resulting in 7 charges compared to 9 arrests resulting in 10 charges last year. Does anyone have any questions related to any of this data? Need any clarification, anything like that? Does anyone have any other questions for me? Sure.
Is the county participating in any type of active investigations as far as the post office are going? Because I noticed that there seems to be an increase in theft from the post mailboxes themselves, where numerous businesses are, their checks are being washed, all their accounts are being stolen, and it seems to be pinpointed to the actual blue boxes are getting robbed at nighttime. And I know it's not often reported to the Suffolk County Police because when you have a problem, you're calling your bank. But I'm just curious if any of the Suffolk County is getting involved with the feds on this.
So, I mean, I would have to kind of look into that offhand. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that right now, unfortunately. So you're saying this is theft from like mailboxes of like checks
Blue
and
mailboxes, I mean, you could.
okay.
Google,
Oh, from like the drop boxes.
Yeah, you can Google online. And
Okay.
It's happening. It's huge in New York. It's huge on Long Island.
Right.
I know Port Jeff Station was hit pretty bad. Smithtown was hit pretty bad.
Okay.
And what they're doing is they're targeting business owners who write a lot of checks, and then their first attempt is they're taking that check, they're washing that check, and they're depositing it. And I know it's not getting reported a lot to police because the first thing you do is you call your bank, and your bank takes care of it and stuff like that. But I know that the county should be involved if they're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, that's something I'd have to look into for you. I don't know offhand myself. However, if people are at some kind of financial loss because of this, like a business or an individual rather, they sometimes, as a result of speaking to their bank, the bank's going to recommend that they file a police report too. So that way a bank could take action, or their financial institution can take action in further investigating that, that transaction, if it was a fraudulent transaction. So if individuals come forward to us and they're reporting these crimes and they're at a financial loss, those are things that are investigated, or those are crimes rather that are investigated by our financial crimes unit.
Okay.
So
Now, even though it's a federal program, the thing, so would the county get involved in that as well, or is that just a federal-based investigation?
you're saying the fact that it's stolen from the mailboxes
Yeah.
being federal. Again, I can't speak to that myself personally. I don't know, unfortunately, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. If it's a mail issue or it's a federal issue, they would be investigating that. Are there instances where we can assist or where we can be involved? Yes, I'm sure. Again, I don't know off the top of my head though. I don't know, unfortunately, but
Thank
I'd be more than happy to take your contact info and try to look into it. If you have an email or
to notice, because
Yeah.
like I said, the business owners that I've spoken to that it's happened to, it's all because they're dropping their checks in the mailboxes. So
Right.
everyone's walking inside and dropping them instead, and it seems
Yes.
to alleviate the problem.
Yeah, definitely, probably a safer alternative. Yeah, I mean, listen, it should all be safe. It should all be safe for, for business and for mail, for everybody, but
How are they getting them out of the mailbox?
I have no idea, but that's they're targeting those mailboxes and they're getting them out. And there's been, I spoke to a customer just the other day who owns a funeral parlor in Smithtown. The same thing. They actually have it on video of people coming and breaking into the mailboxes and taking the mailboxes. But they're targeting the businesses because quite often, it takes a longer period of time for them to catch up to that. Whereas your personal stuff, people are watching that every day.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is something though, 100%, where if somebody sees something, they definitely should report it to us, because we do have the ability to investigate that. It's still theft, it's still a financial crime. There's still, especially if there's financial loss, there's so many different ways. There's a myriad of different outcomes for that. But like I said, most likely if somebody did report a financial loss to us, like theft of a check, and that check was cashed or anything of that nature, those are all like financial crimes. So we have a unit comprised of detectives that handle that specifically. So,
Thank you.
got it. Does anyone have any other questions for me?
I have one. I know that that New York State and Suffolk County are evaluating legislation around the regulation of e-bikes, and I know that that's going to ripple through to you guys
Okay.
in terms of how it's going to be enforced. I would just ask that in future visits, if something material happens, would you include that in your comments?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want us to kind of keep track of that separately, if there's a way of reporting that, or if we get any calls related to that.
Or just an update on what, on what the precinct is doing in general, because I know it's
Yeah.
going to impact sort of, operational procedures and enforcement, and so
Yeah, absolutely.
we'd love to know that as soon as that starts rippling through you guys.
Yes, absolutely. And there are already, there are already instances where anyone under 16 is not supposed to be operating these as well. So, there's situations where we can impound, where we can take them and where we can seize them. But, like we said, it is new, so it's something that we're kind of navigating. Local legislation all the way up to the state level too, that everyone's kind of on the same page, and we're trying to work to get, to have like a uniform response to that. So we'll definitely keep you updated on that.
Thank you.
Right. That's it. Questions? Okay. Everyone have a happy, healthy, safe holiday season.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
Hello, Supervisor Cooper.
How are you? Since our last meeting, we received 8 online complaints. 7 were anonymous. 4 were for illegal parking, 3 for residential noise, and 1 for a pool with improper fencing. I opened up 8 new code investigations in the past month. 1 was for a pool with no permit. 1 was for work on a house, no permit. 1 was illegal outside staircase that was built. 1 was for a retaining wall that was built with no permit, and it was also built onto the neighbor's property. 1 was for work being done in violation of a posted stop work order. 1 was for a legal rental apartment, and 2 were for businesses that did not have a signed permit. I issued 4 notices of violation in the past month. Incidents received via code phone, we had 3. 1 was for an unruly customer at a business on East Main Street. 1 was for an illegal sign, and 1 was for a person sleeping in a car in the Brookhaven lot that we referred over to Brookhaven Town. Thanksgiving Eve, I haven't been here since we covered Thanksgiving Eve. We issued 4 field appearance tickets for open containers that night. It was a busy night. Everywhere was packed. We tried to keep all the bars, restaurants, their exits free and their numbers inside down to their legal limits. The PD put out 3 extra sectors, which was a big help. They were right downtown for us. So it was a pretty good evening. For the month of December, we've written 238 parking tickets. We still have a couple weeks to go. Last December, they issued 27. And so we covered, the events we covered this past month was the Dickens Festival, which went off really well. The 2 parades we covered with DPW, they put out the barriers for us. They were great. There were really no issues. I want to give a big thank you to the 6th Precinct. They had multiple units down the whole weekend, and the auxiliaries and the crossing guards were great. They had, I think, at least 10 or 12 crossing guards, and some of the ladies came back both days, all day they were out. So thank you very much to them. And just something we've been working with Josephine, our building inspector, just a few things business related. We had a few permits out that are going to be closed out with certificates of occupancy. The new ferry building across the street, we issued a CO, so that should be opening pretty soon. The final inspection is coming up for Danford's. They put out the new windows, which looks really great compared to the windows they had. They did a really good job. And Dunkin' Donuts just did a remodel. They're complete. They remodeled all inside. It looks really nice. They did a big upgrade, and it looks really good. So that's all I have. And James, just to answer your question, you might want to call the postal police, because anything with a mailbox is going to get referred to them, and the feds don't really usually call the precinct and let them know what they're doing. So you might want to give them a call for the mailbox stuff. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Do you want to talk a little bit about our conversation about the training for the noise meters?
Oh, yeah, so we have 1 noise meter, and I have 1 full-time person, Jimmy Madacco, and I'm going to be sending him to Rutgers University has a noise meter training program, and it's 4 days at his desk, at his computer, and then the 5th day he has to go to Rutgers, and he does,
Decibel training?
Yeah,
Yeah.
decibel training live with the instructor.
Mhm.
And then once I have that, I have somebody trained, I can better issue tickets that, you know, it'll have a greater possibility of not getting thrown out, because he will be trained. I did have the meter calibrated, so they'll be better, they'll be stronger tickets, so.
Okay, great.
Working on that.
So it's good to have someone on our staff that can write those tickets and
Yep.
not have to depend on the Suffolk County Police to do
Yep.
that for us.
Yep.
Okay, great.
That's it. Anybody? All right. Thanks.
Any questions? No questions for
All right.
Supervisor? Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, next up is our public to address the Board of Trustees section of the agenda. Do we have any comments from the public today?
I think that's a no, Mayor.
Wait, I'm getting a phone call. Oh, all right. Okay, how about trustee comments? Would any trustees like to make comments today?
I just have one comment. I'd like to compliment Attorney Moran. I reached out to Attorney Moran and yourself, Mayor, about ascertaining some equipment for the golf course, and Attorney Moran was spot on, handled it amazing, and got it all done for us. So thank you, Dave, for all your efforts. I really appreciate your help.
Do you want to talk about what those were? I think it's
Well,
really
the
interesting.
resolution's coming up, so I'll discuss
then
it.
you'll have-
Yeah, I'll discuss it during the resolution, yeah.
Okay. Anything, Zena? No. Right? Trustee Hill, Trustee Giuliano?
I have one comment.
Okay.
You know, busy time this year for DPW, Parks and Recreation, between the Dickens Festival, leaves, branches. They did a fantastic job. Unfortunately, we got early snow, so we got snow before all the leaves were picked up, but they made sure, where possible, to not plow the leaves. So once the snow is melted and weather gives, they'll be back to finish their schedule for leaf pickup. So I just want to thank those three departments for, you know, all the efforts that they did this year. The one compliment we got, as the mayor said, we got other
So far, so
compliments.
good. So far, so
Right.
good.
And hopefully that's the only snowstorm we have. So,
Oh, yeah. All right.
yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everybody know that the treasurer has started the budget process with all of the departments. So, you know, we'll also be engaging the Budget and Finance Committee. They have been given the month off, but we are still doing some email-related back and forths on certain contracts. So, but just want to thank them for their work this year. Wish them a Merry Christmas, and same to the Power Plant Working Group. And we'll reconvene in early January.
Trustee Hill? Okay. Nor do I have any. So we can move on to the action items on this agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. With that, we have resolution number 121725. Resolution approving the attached minutes of the November 19th, 2025 agenda meeting and the December 3rd, 2025 work session meeting of the Village of Port Jefferson Board of Trustees. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 121725. Resolution approving the date of May 17th, 2026 from 8:30 a.m. through 1 o'clock p.m. for the annual Northwell Walk to Raise Health, and approving the use of village code enforcement personnel as required for traffic control. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 121725. Resolution approving the event application submitted by James Luciano on behalf of the Port Jefferson Business Improvement District for the closure of Mill Creek Road from 5 o'clock p.m. on January 30th, 2026 through 5 o'clock p.m. on February 1st, 2026, and for the provision and placement during the same time frame of blockades in front of the Harborview Christian Church on East Main Street and the parking stalls to the left of Kilwins, next to the Frigate parking lot, for the annual Ice Festival to be held on January 31st, 2026 and February 1st, 2026, with a rain date of February 14th, 2026, and February 15th, 2026. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
This is in accordance with the permit that Mr. Luciano submitted?
Yes, it is, Mayor, and in fact, if I may, at the recommendation of our, our Superintendent of Public Works, we have now convened an event committee, an internal event committee, for vetting of the permits prior to the permits coming in front of the Board of Trustees. This was the first permit that underwent that process, so it was reviewed by DPW, by Recreation, and by Code as well. So I wanted to just let the board know that this is the new procedure and that it worked well already this time.
And this internal events committee will meet on a semi-regular basis to discuss
Yes.
events going forward so that all the departments understand their, what's needed and what's planned and what to expect and how, just following Dickens, I think there just needed to be some after-action items that took place and were understood, and Greg's solution for this was to kind of form an internal committee that involved different departments. So I thought that was a pretty proactive approach and welcome approach, so.
Very much so. We intend at this point, Mayor, to meet monthly.
Okay, so no further discussion, but all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 4121725, resolution approving the attached change order in the amount of $11,521.27 submitted by Earth Repair for additional tasks associated with the stormwater culvert sediment removal project in progress, noting that the change order was reviewed and recommended by Hayduck Engineering, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the change order on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
What if I don't want to sign it?
Still authorized.
So, listen, so this is actually, the issue with this is that there are two manholes that Earth Repair cannot locate within the culvert area. And they are located somewhere on the west side of the grassy area in Rocket Ship Park, which is south of the basketball courts, and another area in and around the corner of the tennis court parking lot, on the southeast side of the corner of the tennis court parking lot. So they can't find it. And the only options, which would cost $11,000 to do, would be to dig it up. To dig up the tennis court parking lot. The area next to the grassy field in Rocket Ship Park area is somewhat located on private property. But the fence of the residential area is on village property, as we've noted. So we're trying to work with the homeowner to allow us and enable us to access that manhole in that area with permission and to replace in kind the area. We don't know what's back there. Our engineer and our public works superintendent are going to meet with the homeowner or the resident and see what we can do without accessing this extra funding to start digging or putting a camera underneath the ground to look into where this manhole is. They have to get in there to finish the project. So we're going to try not to spend that money, but if we do need to spend that money, it's funded by the grant that we're receiving, right?
Yes.
So, but still, we want to preserve as much as we can from that grant to cleaning out the invasive species in Mill Creek. So, anyway, that's the background on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 5121725, resolution approving the attached amendment to the existing Phase 2 Upper Wall Agreement between the Village of Port Jefferson and GEI Consultants, Inc., GEI, to authorize GEI to prepare responses for the Citizens Commission on Erosion on an on-call, prior approval basis in an amount not to exceed $1,500 in any single 30-day billing cycle without express village consent. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay, I'm sorry. I expressed my, I'll just explain why. But I expressed my concern with GEI, and I think, not with GEI, the firm, but with their reaction to the questions from the commission. I think the questions that they've gotten from the commission are more than valid, and I think that they have served a very good oversight role for this engineering firm. So I'm not saying, or I don't believe that folks should not get paid for work they do. So this is more of a symbolic protest vote at my annoyance of what could be argued as nickel and diming on small ball stuff when they are down the line possibly going to receive a massive project stemming from these questions that need to be answered.
Listen, we'll do everything we can do to not need to access that fund.
Thank you.
And I think we have some strong controls over that. All right?
I would just want to support Trustee Hill on this. It's questionable in my mind when GEI knows that there's a fairly significant project coming down the pike, that this would not be just included in sort of a cost of account management in business parlance, right? And so I would also express my disappointment, particularly since I have had conversation directly with them in terms of them being a vendor rather than a collaborative partner with us. So just want to go on the record of having said that.
So is that 3-1?
Yes, it is, Mayor, 3-1. That motion passes 3-1. Resolution number 6, 121725. Resolution approving the attached agreement between the Village of Port Jefferson and Holmes Irrigation for the provision of on-call, as-needed snow removal services on specified sidewalks within the Village of Port Jefferson, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the agreement on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 7, 121725. Resolution approving the attached agreement between the Village of Port Jefferson and Fairway Golf Car Corp. in the amount of $9,239.42 per month for the lease of 74 2026 golf carts and corresponding screens and 2 2021 carryall vehicles, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the lease agreement between the Village of Port Jefferson and Fairway Golf Car Corp. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second, but questions.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to confirm the Board of Governors and the Country Club Management Association, did they support this contract?
It was the president of the bid that actually helped us get to the initial contract. There's also something else that
The bid or the Board of Governors?
Oh, the bid. Did you ask the bid?
I asked the
You
Board of
said the
Governors,
bid.
but you
I
said the
meant-
bid, but I think
I'm
you
sorry,
meant the Board of Governors.
I meant
Board
the
of
Board of
Governors.
Governors, yes. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
James is
No,
doing it
not
all.
adding to your plate, sorry.
I know James has big pull, but, you know.
No, so the one thing that I would like to let the public know, and certainly in the interest the members will be interested in, now that we've finalized the contract with Fairway Golf, and we actually came in because of some negotiation by the village clerk, and so the costs of that lease are actually going to be slightly lower. So there will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $27 credit to every golfer. We've not decided yet how that will be returned to them. Probably a credit to the account, but that's still being worked out procedurally. And so just wanted to let people know that that lease actually came in slightly lower.
You mean people who have already paid for their membership for 2026?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with the lease payment that is always included, the assessment,
Right.
right? So the
So
assessment, they'll be getting a $27 refund on their assessment.
So that
As
needs to
paid.
change on the application and the processing.
Yep, we've already discussed how to flow that through the paperwork. The rate schedule.
Right? Discussed it and it's going to be implemented, or it has
We're
been
gonna
implemented?
speak to the Board of Governors first and the CCMAC, and just, the easiest way for us administratively to do this is just to issue a credit to
No, but
everyone that signs
you
up.
know, how many people joined so far? 20?
Not even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not a big deal. That's not my point. My point is we publish the rates. We have to change the rates.
We do, yes.
That were published. That's
Yep.
my point, so.
That is a process that the treasurer and I discussed yesterday, so we'll get that done and in front of you, and the Board of Governors and the CCMAC. and-
It's fine. It just has to change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the rate is the rate.
Right, it'll go
So
down.
it doesn't have to-
And the people who've paid will get a refund
Right.
of $27.
Okay, all in favor then? Is discussion over? All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 8121725, resolution approving the attached annual agreement between the Village of Port Jefferson and TechWorks Consulting, Inc., in the amount of $1,382.95 per month from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, for the provision of camera system maintenance throughout the village, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the agreement on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 9121725, resolution approving the attached three-year proposal between the Village of Port Jefferson and Regroup in the amount of $6,500 over 3 years for the provision, implementation, training, and onboarding associated with a mass notification system for the Village of Port Jefferson, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the proposal on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I just want to take a moment to especially thank Assistant Supervisor Anthony Flamia. He was incredibly helpful in making this happen. When we got the Public Safety Advisory Council up and running again, there were lots of interest in the alert system, but the one we had was fairly cumbersome to actually use. And it looks like we're really going to get a much better, easier to use product that's actually going to be more affordable to the village. So that's nice to have. Usually you don't get both of those at the same time, so it's nice that we are. But Supervisor Flamia really took tons of time and did a lot of homework and made it a lot easier for me and the council to parse through all that information. Him and I think sat with, probably 5 to 6 vendors. Some of them more than once. We spent a good amount of time on this, but it, really was so much easier because he was taking the lead on it. So I just want to say a special thank you. And I encourage folks to, if you have not signed up, please, we'll be able to transfer over the existing information that we have on folks, that if you've already signed up for our alert system. But if you've not, please, do that when we get the new one.
And how is their cyber security program as
Yeah.
opposed to Code Red, OnSolve?
Right.
Well, again, the assistant supervisor, I spoke with him regarding data protection, encryption, security, and I literally received 2 pages of security measures, data encryption, applications, cloud infrastructure, redundancies, compliance, and certifications. So I'm more than happy to share, but it's quite technical. And it says that all data, for example, stored in Regroup is encrypted at rest, and it actually tells you what sort of encryption. So we literally have, Mayor, 2 pages worth of that kind of information from the
Okay.
group.
And the next step for that is to put together an announcement, communicate the availability. Once we vote on this and we adopt it as our service, is there a plan for implementing it?
Trustee Hill, I think one of the first steps would be to let people know that this is our new direction, number one, right? And then, obviously, we would start in January as soon as possible.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
let the
they'll-
current vendor know that their contract will not be renewed. So that would be our internal process. But externally, maybe we should sit together,
Okay, sounds great.
okay?
Maybe Anthony wants to be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 10, 121725, resolution authorizing Mayor Shepro or her designee to execute a hold harmless agreement with LIPA PSEG Long Island for the removal and transport of driving range poles and netting from the PSEG Country Fair site. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Discussion. I just want to point out to the community, the country fair was closing, and they had driving range poles. And our driving range at the golf course, the poles and the netting are a little too low, causing a hazard for golfers that are walking on the golf course. So I spoke to Mayor Shepro and Attorney Moran, and they allowed me to go forward with it. I reached out to the superintendent at the site, and then also Attorney Moran was instrumental. He reached out to PSE&G, and lo and behold, we got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of material for free. They're taking them down, they're storing them for us, and we're gonna bring them to our facility here and, coordinate with with the Board of Governors. I was looking at James. And James, you're very active tonight. And the CCMAC, and obviously the mayor and the course, and I spoke to Pat Sullivan, he's very excited, and we can solve a safety hazard situation now, basically for free. We've gotten all the materials for free, it's just installation we have to pay for. So I want to again say thank you to Attorney Moran, he was instrumental. I know he's modest and doesn't want to say anything, but he was really instrumental in getting it done. Thanks again, Dave.
Listen, I want to thank Trustee Franco for thinking proactively about this and finding a solution that doesn't cost a lot of money, but solves something that he, well, the one thing he omitted from his remarks was we're not allowed to use drivers on the driving range, which has been a source of consternation, and this potentially solves that problem. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may add, in furtherance of conversations with Trustee Franco, there's other things on site that the PSCG or LIPA, PSCG Long Island is looking into whether or not they want to keep. Decorative boulders and other things that cost a tremendous amount of money that look extremely beautiful in reference to golf courses and entranceways and those types of things. So we may be able to secure those as well, but for now, I had a conversation with PSCG. They are removing and storing for us, and I forwarded a hold harmless for their legal to look at. And once that's through that process, we can arrange pickup of the items.
Okay.
That is true. I have texted Attorney Moran several times because I got greedy. Once we got the poles, I'm like, hey, can we have the rocks? Because they're beautiful. We could, and there's like a 10-wheel load of rocks there. They're, super expensive. Be nice to get. So, thanks again, Dave.
What they do with the go-karts.
Right. And the putt-putt.
Yeah.
Okay, good work on everybody's part.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And Public Works is ready to jump in on this as well. And it is a great value for something, and I hope it all comes to fruition. We can get it out and over and installed within a reasonable time. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution number 11, 121725, resolution hiring Michael Lamb as a code enforcement officer at an hourly wage rate of $19.31 per hour, effective December 18th, 2025. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 12, 121725. Resolution approving the promotional title of Senior Code Enforcement Officer for Shane Hardig and an hourly wage rate of $24.31 per hour, effective December 18th, 2025. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I just
Aye.
want to say before you vote, just super excited and congratulations to Shane. We served together on Port Jeff EMS. I think Shane's also a firefighter, so he's he's a resident. So he's just a huge contribution, and the village is lucky to have him in our community.
Yeah, Supervisor Cooper agrees, I think, and is very impressed with Shane's work. Yep. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution number 13, 121725. Resolution approving the provisional title of full-time Senior Code Enforcement Officer for James Murdocco and an annual salary of $52,000 per year effective December 18th, 2025. This hiring is provisional for purposes of Suffolk County Civil Service, and all the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement currently in force between the Village of Port Jefferson and CSEA Local 1000 apply to this hiring. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 14, 121725. Resolution terminating employee number 1360, effective December 18th, 2025, pursuant to New York State Civil Service Law, Section 71. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 15, 121725. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies an agreement with the CSEA resolving PERB case number U40047. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 16, 121725. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby ratifies an agreement with the CSEA resolving PERB case number CP1751 and number U39968. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 17, 121725. Resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to transfer expense funding between specified general fund expense line items to correct negative account balances at no net change to the budget. Per attached budget transfer number 42. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 18, 121725. Resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to transfer expense funding between specified country club expense line items to correct negative account balances at no net change to the budget per attached budget transfer number 43. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Just this one and the prior one. I just want to point out, all this is some of the department heads are running high on some of their expense line items, sat with the treasurer and figured out where they could cover those expenses so that there's no net impact to the budget, either the country club budget or the general village budget. Hope that was English
Okay.
enough. Yes.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 19, 121725. Resolution approving an increase of $23,800 to the country club revenue and expense budgets to account for increased revenue projections resulting from increased country club social event activity in fiscal year 2026 by authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 111 as follows. Increased revenue for line item CR 3889024, PJCC social events by $23,800, and increased expense for line item CR 79924005, PJCC social events by $23,800. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 20, 121725. Resolution to increase the general fund revenue and expense budgets by $34,949.70 to account for the funding received from FEMA grant project number 4839 to replace and install a fuel management system at 88 North Country Road after the prior system was incapacitated by the August 18th, 2024 and August 19th, 2024 weather events, by authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 114 as follows. Increase revenue for line item A, 4089, federal aid other, by $34,949.70, and increase expense for line item A, 5132.2, street garage, by $34,949.70. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 21, 121725, resolution to transfer $125,000 of previously budgeted funds allocated for parking capital expenses from the general fund to the capital fund by authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 113 as follows. Increase revenue for line item H5031 interfund transfer by $125,000 and increase expense for line item H332021 street garage by $125,000. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 22, 121725, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund revenue line item to be known as H4960003, federal aid, East Beach Bluff Phase 2, to record expected federal grant assistance revenue associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 project. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 23, 121725, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as H71102021, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Design and Engineering, to record expenses associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Design and Engineering. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
So question for Stephen. We didn't have these line items before? They were never established for Phase 2?
No, they were not.
We haven't paid any money out of the Phase 2 for the Phase 2 project?
We have incurred expenses, and these, creating these lines does is allows us to make sure that the accounting procedure and process is correct, and then we can then have the expenses in the appropriate accounts by moving them over.
Thank you for that, but what was the answer to my question?
These were not, those expenses were paid. Some of the expenses have been paid
Out of what account?
out of the previous Bluff project account, because that's what was in existence prior to the creation of these accounts. So those will be transferred with an accounting journal entry over to the correct accounts once, if the board
So we're going to
approves.
see a lot of transfers in the next agenda? or-
No. No, it's a journal entry recording, moving the expense to the proper account. There's no board resolution needed.
Do you know how much that is right now?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, maybe you can let me know what that is this week. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 24, 121725, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as H71102022, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 construction, to record expenses associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 construction. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 25, 121725, resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as H71102023, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 structural analysis, to record the expenses associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 structural analysis. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Question. East Beach Bluff Phase 2 structural analysis? Or is it a structural analysis of the building? Is it just semantics here?
Yeah. Yes.
So can we adjust it for the record?
Yes.
Yeah, good idea.
So this is an expense line item to be known as East Beach Bluff Phase 2, construction?
Structural building analysis.
What would we call this?
Building structural analysis.
Stephen, what would we call it?
I agree with the clerk, building structural analysis.
So what? Please read the new resolution.
Resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as H7110.202.3, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Building Structural Analysis, to record the expenses associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Building Structural Analysis.
I just feel like, I'm sorry I'm being so detailed on this, but it's the structural analysis of the building as part of the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 project.
Yeah, it is, but it just goes in line with the other. I mean, I see what you're saying.
Because the way that it's worded is important.
I think
for
it's
the-
probably
for the
important.
grant.
It's important that anything that's related to that particular project that starts, the description starts with that, it'll just enable us to keep everything sort of together
Yeah.
in one area and also do summary reporting.
This is also just for our internal accounting. These line items would never be sent to FEMA, only the invoices associated with the expense. This is our internal procedure. It can be titled however the board would like it to be titled, Mayor.
But it's still associated with the East Beach Bluff.
Yep.
Phase 2, so.
So it's the concession building structural analysis.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't read that more closely when I saw the agenda. So want to read it one more time?
Sure.
Sylvia can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, we're at resolution number 25-121725. Resolution authorizing Treasurer Gafka to create a new capital fund expense line item to be known as H71102023, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Concession Building Structural Analysis, to record the expenses associated with the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Concession Building Structural Analysis, Mayor, as part of the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 project.
I don't think you need that last line.
Don't need it.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 26-121725. Resolution authorizing the maximum budget amount of $4,800,000 for the East Beach Bluff Phase 2 project in conjunction with FEMA grant assistance through federal contract LPDMPJ02NY 2023 and Coastal Zone Consistency Contract Number 001092 by authorizing Treasurer Gafka to perform attached budget amendment number 115 as follows. Increase revenue for line item H, 4960003, Federal Aid East Beach Bluff Phase 2 by $3,600,000. Increase revenue for line item H, 5710, Serial Bonds by $1,200,000. Increase expenses for line item H, 71102021, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 Design and Engineering by $424,000. Increase expenses for line item H, 71102022, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 construction by $4,320,000, and increase expenses for line item H, 71102023, East Beach Bluff Phase 2 concession building structural analysis by $56,000. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Treasurer Gaffney, can you just explain what you explained to me on the phone earlier today so that the public understands what we're kind of doing through all this? That these are more, this is procedural, this is not spending.
This is to stay in process with the capital procedure that the village has spent the last 2 years really trying to clean up the capital accounting. So in order to make sure that we have the expenses in the right places, the numbers that have been previously approved, all in the right buckets, so that we can record the expenses properly. It doesn't authorize any new spending, it doesn't authorize anything else, just keeps the accounting in process so that we continue to have the upgraded capital accounting procedure that we've put in place.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 27121725 is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for January 28th, but at this time, I would like to turn this over to Attorney Moran, as he and I have had several conversations regarding implementation of procedure. Attorney Moran, if you would.
So a couple of issues. Our staff recommends what we believe to be either policy changes, fee increases, fine increases, code amendments. We vet them at a work session. We notify public hearings. And the procedure has been a little lax. Clerk Perillo pointed out that the need to continue to comply with open meetings law and the availability of laws prior to voting and other things, and to protect this board from seeing possible everlasting code amendments in the code either day before, day of, or at the board meeting for the first time. So with the support of the mayor, who I vetted these issues with, we're going to develop a better procedure to where any recommendations for code amendments get vetted at the work session. The board could weigh in whether or not it supports any possible code amendments, fee increases, those types of things, before you engage me to draft such items at a cost to the village, wherein at the board meeting or a couple days before the board meeting, these questions come up, and then we end up either tabling it, not going back to it, or other things, and it's money just wasted. To the clerk's credit, as well as the mayor, we would like to implement this new procedure moving forward, specifically in the start of the new year, with the recent 3 code amendments that are on, including a possible raise to the parking fines, a building permit fees, which are quite extensive, as well as amendments to the litter code. So instead of putting these items before you without ever seeing the verbiage, or quite honestly, if staff recommends it, whether or not there's even support from the board for it, moving forward, and if the Board of Trustees has possible code amendments they would like to see, similar procedure to alert the clerk, to be vetted and discussed at the work session, to then be drafted. And then once it's drafted and we know it and we like it, then it'll move forward to public hearing, as opposed to the contrary, where we're trying to change on the fly. So I would like this board's support in implementing such a procedure for everyone's benefit. So that's that.
Does that mean that this resolution is not ready for going to public hearing yet, or? I'm pretty sure this board is interested in seeing this code. This code related to the litter code. I think we're unanimously interested in that. We've discussed it in the past and addressed this issue. But we haven't seen any.
Right, we discussed the idea of, yes.
So,
I have no problem moving forward in that manner, setting this public hearing for when?
28th of January.
28th of January, that gives us plenty of time. Do you understand the notification requirements? Okay.
and we can further discuss it at length at the next work session if we need to.
It's more about because of the calendar and the holidays, we need this in the paper this week. At least setting the public hearing, which is fine, we could always backtrack if we need to on this item.
Does that rush you, or are you okay with that?
It is a little bit of a rush, but I can accomplish it if the board would like.
We can get it done.
Okay.
It'll be done.
But some of the other ones, this one's fairly simple, and I know I was present when this board vetted some of these issues, but like the building department fees are extensive,
Yeah.
extremely extensive. And, so there's time for those types of things, and we need to vet them and make sure we're doing the right thing for our residents and not haphazardly throwing fees in. So, okay,
Okay.
thank you. So you can set that public hearing.
Yes, I'll read the resolution now,
Okay.
Mayor. Resolution number 27-121725, resolution scheduling a public hearing for 6:00 PM on January 28th, 2026 at Village Hall, 121 West Broadway, Port Jefferson, New York, 11777, regarding a proposed local law amending Chapter 169 litter, Section 8, litter from vehicle wheels prohibited, and any related sections of the code thereto, to prohibit any person from depositing mud, dirt, sticky substances, or foreign matter of any kind onto a village roadway from any source whatsoever, including lands or vehicles under the control of said person. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Should we have dust listed in there as well? Right, because once it goes to a public hearing, we can't amend it.
Yeah.
So,
There are other areas of the code that address this very inevitability. I believe it's vague enough to include dust, any matter of any kind, but specifically, if you want to add dust, we can. It's
If
not-
you think it does not need to be amended, I'm fine.
It needs to be amended. We need to amend the code. We
No, no, no.
add the
If
word
the
dust.
resolution
The
doesn't need to be
resolution.
amended, I'm fine leaving it
Okay.
as it is.
But the code
But the code will
will
include
give us
dust.
the details that we need. We can address the requisite details that we're interested in seeing,
Okay.
right?
Right, all we're
Again, this is-
doing
this
is
is-
setting
this is part and
the
part-
the
this is
meeting,
part-
right?
This is part and parcel of what I was discussing.
but-
We're advertising this public hearing, or setting this public hearing. If it changes between now and work session, then that public notice is no longer valid.
That's right.
So Attorney Moran, when I originally presented this to Clerk Perillo, she had I asked what was the correct procedure. And she said, we need to do it at a work session. So I was like, okay, let's do it at the work session. So I have no problem, and I believe in this drag-out provision. I think it's important for us to have, especially with Maryhaven going, that construction with all the asbestos there, and what's been going on at Beach Street, we need to address these issues. So if we need to hold off on this resolution and just do it at the work session, because it makes sense what you're saying. So let's just do it at the work session then.
Again, you guys are in charge. I'm just suggesting that it's specifically including the time of year
Understood?
and the sand and salt that's currently on the road. I think we have a month to make sure we
Agreed.
do it right. I think I agree with the mayor that there's unanimous support for this type of
Drag-out
But
provision, yeah,
I
no
will tell
doubt.
you, in the little bit of research that was done, we do have a code provision that's 85% on point. That's just hasn't been enforced in the past. We're really only adding to that code provision. So, but again, I'll follow the board's direction either way.
I went to Beach Street, that's what brought this up, and there was debris all over the road. I shoveled up a 5-foot area about 18 inches wide that I filled a Ziploc bag full of sand and gravel that was being dumped out that the street sweepers weren't picking up. So, And I spoke to head of code Kevin, and Kevin came down, and he goes, Matt, we don't really have like a specific provision that I can enforce. So listen, let's make it easier for them. You know, let's help Beach Street.
I'm going to somewhat disagree with that
That's
assessment
okay.
of our code. No, not you,
Yeah.
with the assessment of the code, because I do believe we have a code section that's, like I said, 85% on point.
Correct. And if we add the other 15%, it gives them the tools they need to do their job to help the residents of the community. And I think we're all on board with it. But I agree with you. Listen, if we need to sit down at the work session and just hammer this out, let's do it. It's fine. It's a month. It's the wintertime. We'll get,
What we're talking about is really the cost of advertising.
correct.
Right? So what does it cost to advertise such a code amendment?
It's not inexpensive. It's
It's
almost
extensive.
$100
So it's
each time.
we could do it at a $100 expense, and if it changes, we have to do it again at a $100 expense. But considering the time of year, I yield to the board and how important this is at this time of year, considering this current state of our roadway.
Well, I'm sure that Clerk Pearl is going to put it on for the work session, so we're not going to let it fall to the wayside. And I'm on board moving it to the work session. It would just be what the mayor wants to do and the rest of the board.
I'm suggesting we talk about it at the work session, but do we vote on it as to hold a public hearing on it at the end of January? But I also have a question about the way the resolution is written, because it makes said person responsible and not the origin of the material. So
We could, again, things that
Again,
could
this is
be
what we
addressed.
Yeah.
discussed.
that's, so, but does
That's-
this,
that's gonna
does
be an
this,
important
does
one.
this positioning preclude us from then discussing, rather than said person, the origin of the material? Do you see what I mean? Like, sometimes
Well,
the
the
wording
origin
of the
of the
res-
material is what's on your tires, right? Again, if I do a U-turn there and drive through the puddle and bring mud onto the roadway, aren't I the origin? Not the entity itself who has mud?
You know,
I dragged it on. So, you know,
The challenge-
that's an enforcement discretion decision about how it migrates.
It's going to be, I think it warrants additional conversation because those are independent, in many cases, independent trucks.
just to answer
Yeah,
your
the
question,
truck's
but
leaving,
at the,
not Tilcon.
at the
Right.
county fair site,
But that's why I think the truck should be.
Right.
Well,
The enforcement.
yeah.
so
At,
the
Point of
drag-out
enforcement.
code in other municipalities, I believe, my impression is that the, what do you call it, the yard is responsible in some regard, as
can
well
be.
as the driver.
But again, we're not tailoring a law for a specific site. Let's be
Right.
cognizant of that.
no, of course not.
Well,
And,
let's call it the origin.
and again, I know that when I took over a couple years ago as the prosecutor, there were cases pending where someone started a sod job to do sod, they never completed the sod, heavy rain, all of that topsoil made its way onto the street. You're right? So it's more than just Beach Street that we're trying to
Sure,
address.
and Matt
I
said
think
Maryhaven,
it's very
right?
simple to craft a code that holds the entity responsible. And if it's not the entity responsible, it's the individual who's either driving the car, the truck, the trailer, or whatever. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive to either one. And
But-
that's the discretion given to the officers in the field.
But Dave, if you look at the county fair site where we're going to get those poles from, they have FOD pads that are on site that the trucks drive over to rattle the tires. There's multiple ways.
I know.
Yeah, so
There's 100 ways.
there's a lot of ways. There's undercarriage washing. There's a lot of mechanisms that can be put in place. And I agree with the mayor.
And if they were
You know, we
building it
can't just
today, Trustee
leave it just to
Franco?
trucks. We need to, yes, sir.
If they were building it today,
Mm-hmm.
our planning department and our site plan review would have all of those
Sure.
things in place. We're talking about a pre-existing site that does not necessarily have to comply with those types of things. They would be smart too, if we hold them accountable in our code.
Yep.
For their migration of dust and material, or anyone's dust and material. But to your point, Mayor, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
Right.
It could be the entity, it could be the individual, it all depends on the discretion in the field and how it's
So,
migrating.
so back to the way this is written, does that pigeonhole us into just one entity, or does it leave us open to discuss it all entities.
I didn't draft it yet, so I don't know. This is a, this,
This is just a resolution
It's-
setting a date.
it doesn't,
a
this
public
doesn't
hearing, but-
pigeonhole us into anything,
Right.
really, because I haven't drafted. It says we're having a public hearing to amend the code
It
to address these
specifically
things.
references Chapter 169, and that's the only chapter then we can consider in our discussion.
Correct.
Is that the only chapter we want to consider in the discussion?
Don't know yet, Mayor, which is why I suggested what I
Okay,
suggested.
so let's, again, you're right. Let's table this one.
So Mayor, we also have, excuse me, and any related sections of the code there too.
I might have a problem with that language as well, since the code book's 4 inches thick.
Either way, it sounds like we should hammer this out.
Yeah.
figure
Yeah,
it
let's
out
work on
before
it.
Yeah.
session in
Yeah.
January.
And again, this is a product of a good, noble effort by staff looking to address a problem
Yeah.
that we're procedurally behind on. And if it was the spring, maybe I'd agree, let's just, but I think
Right,
we have, I think we have
a
this
month that
month.
we can,
It's a good month to not do it,
absolutely.
to make sure it's done
We'll
correctly.
hammer it out at the
So-
next work session.
What do we have, a motion to table this, or,
It's just gonna be with, that resolution's gonna be withdrawn.
oh, withdrawn?
Huh?
Or,
Which is gonna be withdrawn, and we'll add it when we need to add it.
okay.
You good?
Nothing's ever simple.
Well, but if we fix things, they become easier, right?
Yeah.
Resolution number 28, 121725, resolution approving the check register and warrants dated December 17, 2025, as presented by Treasurer Gafka and as approved by Claims Auditor Goodwin. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 29, 121725, resolution to enter into executive session at 7:53 PM to discuss a contract negotiation and the specific performance of a particular employee. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, executive session, we go. I don't think we're going to be voting on anything when we come back, so,
Expected.
Thank
nope.
God.
So, Chris, you're free.